You know how in every big AAA RPG, there's a sort of unnecessary and time-consuming addition of a random tabletop board or card game? Queen's Blood in Final Fantasy, Gwent in The Witcher, you know what I'm talking about. Well, Culdcept Begins is an adventure that takes these mini board games and creates an interesting fantasy world to tie each game together. But is this fusion game system interesting enough to stand alone, or are we going to be wishing somebody would flip the table?
Holy word through.
The original Culdcept game came out so long ago that it's actually older than me, and was originally launched as a Japanese exclusive for the Sega Saturn, getting a few ports to PlayStation and Nintendo DS further down the line. And now, 29 years later, it's getting a localized port to Steam. But that isn't the game we're talking about today. Nor are we talking about the Dreamcast second entry in this series from 2001, or the follow-up from 2006 on the Xbox, or the other follow-up that launched on the 3DS in 2017. All of which are technically sequels to the original, would you believe? But enough about all those other games, we're focusing on the newest entry, Culdcept Begins! You have to shout it, it's in capital letters. Okay, fine, I won't yell at you for the rest of the video if you insist. Neos Corporation have reignited the Culdcept franchise 10 years after the last entry in the series, and have created a fusion board/card game system for us to battle through that challenges you with building decks, picking which spellbook to tackle each fight with, and making your way around game boards, assigning creature cards to any squares you land on, or battling it out with your opponent's creatures to race to the target magic score and win. It all sounds very complicated, but the long and short of it is, you roll a dice, play a card if you can, upgrade your tiles, and hope you don't get totally robbed by your enemy, and have to sell all your assets, a la Monopoly. And that is basically it. There are short cutscenes between matches, side quests to do, which are just rehashings of the same game boards, and there are a few dialogue options to choose from, but your core gameplay loop is board game minigames. The game follows on from the world established in the original. We're still in Culdra space, as it is known, a universe created by the goddess Culdra, who has also blessed the world with the Culdcept, a book which grants the power of creation, with banished gods, long-ended wars, all making their way into the new story. Perhaps I'm underselling the game. I love board games, I play them often, and if moving house recently has taught me anything, it's that I own far too many of them. But Culdcept Begins is just... how do I put this nicely? Boring. Much like real board games, a lot of what happens in these battles is left up to chance, not skill. Sure, you can stack the deck with offensive creatures, spells, and items, or hit the defense and let your enemies fall into your traps. But with a random draw of cards, dice rolls that you have little to no control over, unless you have some spells, and a complete freedom to move any which way on the board, most of my wins or losses felt entirely unearned. There are of course ways to beef up your standing in each match, by putting the correct elemental type on their elemental square to make their defenses better, and occasionally it is required by the card's limitations. For every additional square you own of a certain element, your tolls go up, the tolls being what you charge your opponent if they land on your square. Plus, your creatures gain what I'm going to call buddy bonuses and increase their stats. And then, of course, if you land on a fort, a castle, or a square you own, you can develop the terrain on your spots, changing the elemental type or leveling them up to bolster your score and make them even more treacherous for your opponents. The biggest bouts of strategy come when you land on an opponent's tile, as you will have to choose to pay the toll of their square or battle them for ownership, which is where items come in handy. If you choose to battle, you'll select one of your creature cards to go head to head in a sort of bonk off, my term, not theirs, where you'll try and take the enemy card's HP down to 0 to destroy them, and have your winning card take its place. Every creature has an AP level that dictates how much damage they'll do, and if that number is looking a little on the low side, you can hand your little monstie a knife, a crossbow or an axe, and hope your opponent doesn't don some powerful armour. I'm really trying, would you believe, to make this sound fun and interesting so you don't turn the video off, but it truly is not fun or interesting. I found myself tapping A to make the AI go faster, even on 2x speed, not really feeling the need to see what they were doing. During a few matches, we barely interacted, with both of us missing each other's spots or them just landing on it and paying the toll instead of attempting to challenge me, meaning I just gradually gained my magic points from visiting forts and upgrading my tiles. With how much this game relies on chance, I couldn't help but lose interest when dice rolls just stopped going my way. The story is pretty basic as far as fantasy JRPGs go. Our main character, Camru, is the son of the region's most powerful general, known as Origin, who, having assisted his nation in winning a war, did something terrible and vanished. What that terrible thing was, you'll gradually discover through cutscenes and flashbacks. Camru is being groomed by his teachers and friends to become the Chosen Sept, a specific type of fighter who can wield the Culd powers, aka summon the creatures and use spells. Once he's fought his way to the top spot at school, he'll go on to fight all the enemies of the kingdom, and a few allies, to discover who has torn a hole in the barriers and allowed people from the abyss to enter their land, whilst also questioning whether what he is doing is the correct path forward. There are no unexpected twists or turns, no genre-defying moments, and quite frankly, nothing special. One thing Culdcept Begins does do very well is the soundscape they have built. The music design is impeccable. It's the perfect fantasy RPG soundtrack to what is also a visually beautiful game. With no voice acting apart from a brief voiced prelude of the story, the key moments are punctuated with compositions that reflect the action, with each arena having its own set of tunes to jam out to as you summon one of the 400 cards you can choose from. Speaking of the cards, each one has a truly lovely design. Every creature stands out from the last with hand-drawn designs, making every new card you receive a real delight to look at. Each character design is beautifully unique from the last, with humans and humanoid animals all having their own wonderfully designed, colourful and incredibly detailed icons. I did think, for a hot minute, that our main characters had all just had crazy BBL treatments. But no, they are not huge bums, but huge books that they are dragging around in their wagons. And I experienced no issue with how the game ran, nor did I have any issues with bugs or slowdown. There are a few settings, namely the speed with which NPCs play, but nothing super complex, including no difficulty slider, which could push players looking for a bit of an easy run off the game. Though, having said that, I don't know for sure, but it certainly seemed that if you failed a battle a few times, the AI would ease up slightly in the next match, making things a little easier, because poor babies like us could do with a helping hand every now and then. Culdcept Begins is an interesting game in a few ways. The history of the series, the unique game design, and the fantastic visuals, but that can all be appreciated without having to actually play the game, as unfortunately, upon playing it, I cannot call it interesting. The story is generic and without much intrigue, the core gameplay is clunky and left too much to chance that I think even the most skilled deck builders will find it frustrating, and without much going on for it in either sense, I found it a tough game to come back to, and honestly a pretty tough game to review. Perhaps in 1997, you could get away with a generic storyline and average deck builder experience, but with there being literally hundreds of other options out there now, I just don't think it's good enough to compete. All that being said, I think Culdcept Begins earns itself a table lamp of mediocrity. It isn't the worst game I've ever played, but it is pretty darn forgettable.
Thanks so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel to help us continue to be able to bring a voice to the voiceless. Join the over 60,000 indie warriors that have said goodbye to the gaming echo chamber. For even more support, head over to patreon.com/idreamofindiegames, where you can get Discord access, early shows, exclusive content, and more, now with a brand new $2 entry tier. Or check out YouTube memberships for exclusive badges, custom emoji, and other fun perks. support real people making real things, because here at I Dream of Indie Games, it's always about the games.